Callie Tremor says, and the NFL Daytime Drama Award goes to the San Francisco 49ers for the most tomfoolery and shenanigans during the NFL offseason. What a mess. Yeah, I think that's probably the first thing on a lot of Niner fans' minds. The reason most people thought this wouldn't happen is because it's messy. It's a distraction. It's a freaking circus, frankly.
It's great. I think it's great.
Why?
It. Because your best player on this team is Trent Williams, and he's 34 years old. And now you can look him in the eye. You can say, Trent, with all of our resources and all of our financial might and everything that we've got, we're trying to get it done this year. Who won the Super Bowl last year? The Rams. What defined the Rams? They were all freaking in on the Super Bowl from day one. Everybody knew the score. And I think that's how you win Super Bowls. You have to sprint towards it. You have to be passionate about it. You have to be all freaking in. And to me, this is the move that sends a message to Trent and everybody else, including all the 49er fans. The Niners are all in on this year.
Yeah.
Media circus, be damned. Trey's feelings, be damned. Inviting the circus to town, all of that is all secondary. It's all about being all in on the ring, and I think it's smart.
And that's why I bet my dad that this was going to happen. Cutting Jimmy doesn't hurt this team, doesn't help this team. It helps next year's team. Theoretically, you could roll over cap space, but they're in a Super Bowl window now. And I guess holding on to Jimmy Garoppolo says, look, we're not going to take a step back. We think Trey's going to make us better this year, but if he doesn't, we're open to being wrong and to being able to change direction. So good for them, I guess. Flav says, all my efforts finally got Niners' attention. No way they could rely on Trey alone this year. We're contenders again. He's so happy. Well, congratulations, Flav. Christopher says, what's the over-under in week 1 on Kyle calling QB power for Lance? I think it's 14.5 is a good number. Do you think they're going to go the 2 QB system that they were talking about last year?
No, I don't. I really don't. But I do think this sets them up perfectly in a lot of ways because they have an incredibly deep quarterback room. Now you might be able to trade a guy like Nate Sudfeld. I mean, he actually could be traded in this scenario. And I also just think I would love to see what this does to the Niners' odds in Vegas. I think it's going to improve their Super Bowl odds because really, Grant, you know this team as well as anybody. There was 3 irreplaceable players going into this year: Trent Williams, George Kittle, and Trey. And now there's only 2. So, I mean, that's a huge,
I see what you mean.
Improves their equation for winning it all this year.
Lucuria says, so what should we do with that freed up $20 million cap space? Well, is it really freed up? I mean, if it could be, if he could trigger incentives, don't the Niners have to keep it available? I don't know.
I think, well, they have the full thing budgeted for. They weren't going to have to cut anybody. It gives them some cap relief in the present. And I'm not sure exactly how the incentives work if it rolls into the next year, but it clearly takes him off the base and makes him also, it makes Jimmy a tradable asset because now, I really believe that at the price tag at $6.2 million, he's a very tradable asset.
I wanted to talk about that.
And they may actually be able to get a day 3 pick or day 2 pick for him now at 6.2 that they were never getting at 24 or 25 or 26 or more.
Paul Third says, wait for it. Jimmy Garoppolo waiving his no trade to go to New England. I don't think they want him. Matthew Sanders says, beginning of the end for Kyle and John. Within 2 years, Niners will be on Hard Knocks. Lance declared a bust. D'Amico will be gone. Dark days ahead. Maybe.
Wow.
I mean, they're hedging. It doesn't seem like anything too bad could happen this year. I don't know how good they can be. Chris Telerico says, people actually think this regime can win a Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo should have been traded once the trade for Trey happened. Lynch's seat should be the hottest ever. I agree that they should have moved on from Jimmy Garoppolo immediately. But they were in a tough spot because they'd only made the playoffs once. And that's why I kind of felt that Trey's timeline and the Niners' timeline were different. John and Kyle were under pressure to win last year. Trey should have gone to a coach who was in his first year as well. So there was no pressure to win right away. It's a little bit of an awkward fit, but they can make it.
You know what's awkward, Grant, is the fact that they took a very high level but raw quarterback that assuredly was going to take time to develop, and they have maybe the league's most impatient fan base.
Right.
They just went to the NFC Championship game. They've had 2 failed Super Bowl runs. Lynch and Shanahan are trying desperately to win a Super Bowl to establish themselves in Niner lore. The fact that they went for the rawest, most crude quarterback that was going to take time, I don't know that they weren't thinking about their Super Bowl timeline, and now they're seeing, they want to speed that thing up, and so this is a way to kind of do both things, right?
Right. In retrospect, they should have just gone after Stafford if they were willing to trade 3 first-round picks. But from what I'm hearing, Stafford's elbow is messed up. That could be really an issue.
And you know what? The Stafford move looks great now because they won the ring. But the Stafford move inherent in that is shortening your Super Bowl window.
Right.
And they wanted to, Shanahan and Lynch are relatively young men. They wanted a long Super Bowl window. And they got that with Lance. But now, I don't want to say they're hedging, but they're at least taking out insurance on this.